This is going to be the ultimate guide of how you can use the wall in your handstand practice. I'm going to cover a lot of things today, starting with the chest to wall handstand, split leg chest to wall handstand, kickups near the wall, chest to wall tuck handstand, and chest to wall handstand push-ups. And for all of these, I will be talking about common mistakes and how to actually perform the exercise. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is common mistakes in the chest to wall handstand. And one of the biggest mistakes you will see really often is that people don't really push with their shoulders enough. So it will end up kind of leaning against the wall, like rubbing against the wall with their upper body. So the weight isn't really in the shoulders, but most of the weight is against the wall. So let me show you what I mean.
What you will see is that they get in a position like this, but then they're like, the weight is like this. So you can see here, from my chest and to my toes, all my body is against the wall. And this position, I can hold forever. Like, I don't feel anything in my shoulders when I'm here. So what you actually want to do from this position is that you want to actually really elevate your shoulders like this here. Maybe get your hand a little bit closer to the wall. So you can see it now. I just have my toes barely touching the wall. And my shoulders are fully elevated. Shoulders directly above my wrist. Hips above my shoulders. So I'm in a straight line just like in a handstand. And what is important here, the thing I really focus about is the distance from my wrist and out and to the wall is the same that I have from the ankle and to my toes.
So the distance is going to be from my wrist and into the wall. It's going to be the same that I have from my ankle and to my toes with my feet pointed. And that is a really good way to think about it. That way you're going to be able to have a straight line from your feet and down to your hands when you really elevate your shoulders as much as you can. And that is really the key here, to put the weight in your shoulders. So when you see people have like the first common mistake where they rub the body against the wall, it's a common sign of either one of two things. So it's either a lack of awareness and not knowing exactly what to do, or more commonly, it's because people don't have the prerequisite strength in their traps. Because most people, in my opinion, can get into the flexibility needed with the shoulder flexion here if they just lie on something where they can push against it with their hands. But you need the active mobility, active strength in the traps to pull your chest through with your own strength. And that is what a lot of people need when they start their handstand practice. Another mistake I see sometimes that is not as common is that people stay too far away from the wall. So they end up piking a little bit in their hips. That's actually going to make the handstand harder, because you'll have more weight in front of you, which is going to put even more weight on your traps. And I'll show you just what I mean really fast. It's not as common because, as I just said, it's a lot harder, and you'll only see it from people who probably already have the strength in their traps.
You see now, I actually pull as much as I can, and my hips are tight and my shoulders are fully open and that, but I'm too far away from the wall, so I still want to get in like this. Again, from here, pushing up. And maybe looking inwards to get my ears in line with my biceps. So it should look like exactly like this.
Another important thing we want to think about to avoid this arching here with rubbing against the wall is we want to get the posterior pelvic tilt. So we want to do like roll our hips, squeeze our glutes a little bit maybe, and suck our stomach in to get this nice straight line. The second thing we are going to be looking at here is a split leg chest to wall handstand. This exercise is used to get more time upside down. It's really good when you can't quite keep balance yet, because you have the ability to go back into the wall when you start to lose balance, and then correct and go out away from the wall again. So one of the most common mistakes I see here is that people don't elevate their shoulders and don't stack the hips above the shoulders. So I will show you what this looks like. It's kind of like when you planche a little bit. So for this you want to start a little bit further away from the wall. It's gonna be harder in terms of balance the further you are from the wall. But the common mistake I see here is that people are kind of like this. They don't elevate the shoulders. You can see my shoulders now are further forward than my hands, and my hips are not stacked above my shoulder. So you want to elevate the shoulders, get yourself in this position here, and now you want to take one foot off the wall. When you have it behind you, you want to take the other off. So now you see now they're counting each other. When you have the balance here, you can move them together. If you start to fall over like this, you just simply go back to the wall and correct it. One foot out again, get balance here. So the further you are from the wall, then the higher it's going to be, because you're going to have less margin for error. Because when you move your feet out, if you're closer to the wall, you have less distance to the wall, so you can move them back really quick. If you start to fall over with your feet further away from the wall, it's going to be harder to correct it without falling over. So I'll just show you what it looks like so you can get an idea. So now we're really close to the wall. Elevate shoulders, move one foot out over you here. You can see that I'm really rough at this, but then here, have to get the balance. And if you start to fall over, put the feet back to the wall. If you go further out, it's gonna be harder. So now we move this foot out here. This other foot should almost just follow off immediately. Find the balance and then put the feet together. If you start to fall over, back to the wall. So you see that this is still going to require you to have a lot of strength. So it's not something you can just keep on, if you start to fail, keep on going back to the wall over and over again. Because your shoulders are going to end up really tired. My form is not perfect here, because I have not done handstands hold seriously for that in a long time, other than handstand push-ups. But this should give you an idea of what you want it to look like and how you can use this exercise to get more freestanding time than if you were to just kick up and fall down over and over again. That will not really get you anywhere. So on the topic of falling over again and again and again when kicking up, we're going to be talking about kick-ups near the wall. The reason these are really good is that if you kick too far, the wall is going to be there to help you, and that will kind of remove the fear that you will have of falling if you don't know how to bail out of the handstand yet. The most common mistake I see here is that people kick up a little bit too close to the wall, so the wall is actually going to catch them before they actually have kicked too far. You only want the wall to be there just in case you fall over and kick too far, so it doesn't just fall over and land on the back and get hurt. So I'll just show you what it looks like when you're actually too close to the wall. So when you kick up with the split legs kick up, you're gonna have one foot moving behind the body. And if you're too close to the wall, it's not even gonna get behind your body before the wall stops you. So if I'm standing like this, right here, I'm on top of my shoulders fully elevated. You see this one, even a bad kick up. The wall is just too close to me. So if I'm going to perform this, I want to get a little bit further away from the wall, so the wall is only going to be there if I kick too far. Now I'm going to be kicking up with my hands a little bit further from the wall, so you can see what it looks like when I start to lose balance, and the wall will be there to catch me, so I don't just fall down on my back and get hurt. So I'll start with my hands in a position like this to give myself enough space to kick up and actually get the foot behind me. But then if I start to lose balance, I will still be able to put my foot in against the wall and get back down in a safe manner. So kicking up here with split legs, you can see
right now in the position, but let's say I start to fall over, then I have the wall to save me here, so I don't just fall down. Now I can actually push out against the wall back into the position and get my balance. So now I'll just show what it looks like. Let's say I just kick way too far with too much power and there's no way of actually saving it. So here the wall is there to save me. And again, you see this was way too much power. And actually correct using the wall and actually accumulate some time in the position in the handstand and learn how to
put my feet together from the split leg position. So just like with the split leg chest to wall exercise that I showed before, this can actually also be used to accumulate some more time upside down. Though it's going to be a little bit harder because it requires you to put your feet together from a little bit of a harder position, and you need to understand a little bit of how to kick up into the handstand. Next up, we have the chest to wall tuck handstand. With the tuck handstand, you're going to tuck your knees down towards the head, or just in line with your hips. And this is going to make it a lot harder in terms of strength because you're going to have more weight in front of you. Think of it like if you stay like this, you have to lean. You will automatically force your hip to lean back in order to keep balance and put more weight in your hips. The same thing is going to happen when we do this in a handstand. It is going to require more in terms of our traps and elevation for us to keep our shoulders elevated and fully opened. So one of the common mistakes here, or the most common mistake here, is that people don't have the strength, and as a symptom of that, they end up planching. So this means that the shoulders are not fully opened and the hips, they are not stacked over the shoulders. So I'll just show you what this looks like and how you get into the chest to wall tuck handstand position. There's a few different ways to do it. You can have your full shin against the wall, or you can just have your feet against the wall, or just the knees against the wall. For this one, I'm just going to have the full shin against the wall, as that is going to make it a little bit easier. One of the most common mistakes you will see is that as people go down, they end up in a position like this here, where they plank a little bit, and hips are not above their shoulders. And while this is still hard to hold, it targets other muscles. It's going to hit your front delt a little bit more, and it's going to hit your chest more. It's not really going to target what we want when we are practicing the tuck handstand, where we want to have the straight line from our wrist to our hips for us to practice what a handstand is actually like, and what a tuck handstand is actually supposed to feel like. So now I'm going to show you what it should look like. Just keep in mind, mine is not perfect too, but it should give you an idea of what it should look like. So you want to find a position where you are able to keep your shoulders over your hands and your hips over your shoulders. And still get your knees down to the position you want. So not too close, not too far from the wall. In the beginning, it might be better to stay a little bit further from the wall, and as you get better, you can start to stay a little bit closer to the wall. So I'm going to start in this position here. You see, now I'm fully open my shoulders and everything I need. Then I'm going to move in like this, and just push. If this is too easy, I can move my hands a little bit closer here, I feel like. So again, push all that you can. Now I really have to fight. So this is a really good way to take your handstand to the next level. Once you start to feel like the regular chest to wall handstand becomes really easy, and you can hold that for a couple of minutes, just a minute at least. You can also see that I started with my hands a little bit too far away from the wall, so my upper body and my arms were actually leaning a bit against the wall, and that's actually fine when you start out, and it will require a bit less strength, And then as you get stronger and more comfortable, you can move closer to the wall and you'll be able to keep your upper body in a straight vertical position where it's going to be like when you're standing in a freestanding tuck handstand position, just still a little bit easier because you'll always have some weight leaning against the wall. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the chest to wall handstand push-up, arguably the most important thing of the whole video. And the common mistakes here is either placing the hands too close to the wall or too far away from the wall. And this leads to either the feet moving off the wall as you get down because you don't have the room to lean forward when you're so close to the wall as you need you need to get your body in a diagonal position in a handstand push-up, and you can't get that if you have your hand pretty close to the wall and still want to move your shoulders forward. And if you're too far away from the wall, it will force you to arch in your back a little bit to keep the lean against the wall as you go down. So I will start off by showing you what it looks like with the hands too close to the wall. So when we perform the handstand push-up, if it's in the right way, we want to keep the elbows above the wrist always and lean forward with full protection of the shoulder blades and get the shoulders as far forward as we can without moving the elbow. So you see like this here. But now I'm starting to fall off because I'm too close to the wall. I can't get this lean with my lower body here. So I'm gonna get too much weight in front of my hands. And it's gonna make it fucking extremely hard. If I was to actually do it in this position, instead of moving down with my elbows tucked like this with a lean, I would have to fill them out a little bit more, which is going to target more the traps, the side delts, maybe a little bit of the posterior shoulder, instead of what we actually want to target, which is the anterior delts and a little bit of the upper chest with this movement. Now I'm going to show what it looks like with the hands too far away from the wall, and you'll see how I start to arch a little bit to keep my feet against the wall. This position here, push as far as I can, start from hips above. So as I go down here, right, now I'm way too forward. I need to lean way too much to keep my feet against the wall still. And so now we have the exact opposite problem where it's going to be purely almost chest. We're almost going to planche a lot more, be a lot more horizontal rather than vertical. So these are like two really opposite problems of each other. So to find the correct distance you want from the wall, what I found works really well is to measure the distance from your fingertips and down to your elbow. So this is usually going to be a pretty good starting point, and then you can always adjust a little bit further, a little bit closer to the wall from there. So I'm going to measure out this distance here. That is going to be right around here. So let's see how that works. If this is going to put me in a good position. So when I move up the wall, and as always, push, get our hips over our shoulders fully elevate over our hands, and from here we're gonna go down, as I said, with the full protraction as much as we can, keeping the elbows in the same position and moving the shoulders forward. I'm starting to get a little bit tired now, but you can see that this position is a lot better. I have a straight line from my shoulders and to my feet, which is what we want in this, to make it feel like what it's going to be like doing a handstand push-up without support and target what we actually want in this position. This is going to be all for this video on the Patreon. If you enjoyed it, tell it to a friend, make them subscribe, and I'll see you for some stuff on here later.